Hey guys, today I am filming the most exciting video of the year. I'm going to show you all of the makeup products I used up in 2018. So I'm just going to be showing you the products, letting you know whether I repurchased them or not. But if you're wanting more specific details, make sure you check out my makeup use up playlist for 2018. I'll have it linked in the cards. In those updates, I do go in depth about the products that I used up. So I have actually not gone through and added up the value of everything because it's just too much and I haven't had the time yet. I will do that, but for the total amount of makeup I've used up, it's 105 products, which is crazy. I'm surprised I used up so much, but I'm so happy. Now I do have a lot of deluxe size samples in here. I count those like a full-size product. So jumping right in, I was able to finish 12 deluxe size primers in the year. I have 4 for mattifying, 5 to give me glowy or hydrated skin, and then I do have 3 pore filling primers. So I used up the Boscia Porefecting White Charcoal Mattifying Treatment Primer, would not repurchase. The Too Faced Primed and Peachy Cooling Matte Skin Primer, I already repurchased. The NARS Pore and Shine Control Primer, didn't like it at all, would not repurchase. The Hourglass Veil Mineral Primer, I have a couple backups of this that I will use up, but I don't think I would repurchase this one. For my pore filling primers, I have the Smashbox Photo Finish Pore Minimizing Primer, which I think is good. The CoverFx Blurring Primer, which is also pretty good, and then the Dr. Brandt Pores No More Primer. These all work well, but my favorite would definitely be the Dr. Brandt, and I have already repurchased this one, and I do actually have a backup mini of the CoverFx. For the glowy and hydrating primers, I used up the Smashbox Photo Finish Primerizer, which is a primer and moisturizer in one. I would like to get the travel size of this if they go on sale half off because it was a nice one, but I don't know if I love it enough that I would commit to the full size. It may be a little oily, but it was very nice and hydrating. Then we have the MAC Prep and Prime Natural Radiance in the shade Radiant Yellow, would not repurchase. The Becca First Light Priming Filter, I would also not repurchase this. MAC Strobe Cream, would not repurchase. And the Lancome Le Base Pro, I also would not repurchase. So I wouldn't really purchase any of these, but again, I do have oily skin. If I was gonna buy any hydrating primer, it would be the Smashbox Primerizer, and if I was gonna buy a glowy primer, it would be the Becca Backlight Priming Filter. For foundation, I was able to use up 4, but one of them was a deluxe size sample. This is the Lancome Tint Idole Ultra Wear Foundation in the shade 140 Ivory Neutral. I would not repurchase this one. I used up the Maybelline Dream Cushion Foundation in the shade 10 Porcelain. I actually loved the way that this looked on my skin, but for a couple of different reasons, which I mentioned in my updates, I don't think I'd repurchase it, even though I really liked it. I used up the Hard Candy Glamoflague Foundation in the shade Porcelain. All-time favorite mixer, I have already repurchased it. And I used up the CoverGirl Clean Matte BB Cream in the shade 510 Fair. Not my favorite, would not repurchase it. For concealer, I was able to use up 8 this year, which is a lot for me. This first one is the Kat Von D Lock Concealer Cream in the whiteout shade. I use this to lighten my concealers. I will not repurchase this because ColourPop sells a white concealer for a much cheaper price. It also has a great formula and it's a little easier to work with. I have the NYX HD Concealer in the shade number 1 Porcelain. I would not repurchase this. This color oxidized on me, so I used it more as a corrector, but not my favorite. Then I used up half of the NYX Sculpt and Highlight Duo in the shade Taupe and Ivory. I do not like the cream contour side, so for the value, I'm only going to be counting half of it because I only used up half the product. I used the Ivory side. Again, this did oxidize on me and it was a little more peachy, so I used it as a corrector. I actually like the formula of this one better than the HD concealer, and if they sold this on its own, I actually would purchase that one. Then I used up the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Concealer in the shade Ivory. Love this formula, but this is the new palest shade and it's still too dark for me, so I won't repurchase it. Used up the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer in the shade 15 Fair. Don't love it, would not repurchase. Then I used up 2 of the ColourPop No Filter Concealers, one in Fair 8, which I was using for blemishes, and then one in Light 10, which I was using to give more coverage on my cheeks. I do actually really enjoy this concealer, but I would probably only purchase it again for the shade Light 10 to use on my cheeks because I have other things I prefer under my eyes and on blemishes. And the last one is the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer in the shade NC15. used to be my absolute holy grail, but it has been replaced by something else, so I will no longer repurchase it, but it's still a really good one. Moving on to face powders. You guys are not going to believe this number until you see them. 19. Not 9. I used up 19 powders this year. Pressed, loose, under eye face setting powders. Y'all know I'm oily and I pack on that powder. 19. I used up the CoverFx Perfect Loose Setting Powder in the translucent light shade, would not repurchase. I used up the e.l.f. HD Under Eye Setting Powder, I also would not repurchase. I finished up 4 little minis of the Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder. I have these 2 jars here, and then I did have 2 others gifted to me that I put in a larger container, so I don't actually have the little jars for them, but just know I did use up 4 of these little baby sizes, which have 3.5 grams or 0.12 ounces. This is my absolute favorite under eye setting powder, and unfortunately I will repurchase this. I did also use up the travel size of this powder, which has 9.3 grams or 0.33 ounces. As I said, I will repurchase this powder. It's my favorite one for under my eyes. This powder I used under my eyes and to set my face. That would be Dermablend Translucent Loose Setting Powder. I have 2 of the little travel jars, which have 5 grams or 0.18 ounces of product. And I actually did repurchase this in the full size to set my under eyes. It is really nice, but it has a little bit too much of a white cast, so I think I'll use up the one that I have, but then I will just use a Laura Mercier, so I won't repurchase, but it is a nice product, especially for setting the face. Then I have 4 loose powders I use to set my face. The first is the NYX Smooth Skin Loose Powder. Don't believe they sell this in the US anymore. Just your basic translucent powder, would not repurchase. I used up 2 of the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powders in the shade number 5 Fair. Absolutely amazing. I definitely will repurchase to use on its own and also to be used in combination with my next powder, which is the Too Faced Peach Perfect Mattifying Loose Powder. Absolutely holy grail, definitely will repurchase. The Maybelline has 0.7 ounces or 20 grams, and the Too Faced has 1.23 ounces or 35 grams. I used up 6 pressed powders for the face. 3 have color and 3 are translucent. The first 2 would be my NYX Stay Matte But Not Flat Powder Foundations. I had the shade number 1 Ivory and number 2 Nude. I do love these, but I do have other pressed powders I prefer. So for now, I will not repurchase these. The pressed powder I do prefer now actually is the Maybelline Super Stay Better Skin in the shade 10 Porcelain. Unfortunately, this has just been discontinued, but I'm going to try to get a good back stock of these, hopefully on sale, because the formula is absolutely amazing. Then for my 3 translucent pressed powders, we have the Balm Sexy Mama, which actually did give a tint of color to my skin, and it didn't mattify me that well, so I would not repurchase this one. I used up the Rimmel hashtag InstaFix in matte, left a bit of a white cast, not that mattifying, would not repurchase. And I used up one of my holy grail Rimmel Stay Matte pressed powders in the transparent shade. As I said, it is a holy grail and I will definitely repurchase it. I only used up 1 other cheek product, which I'm not that surprised by. This is just a little sample size of the Balm Bahama Mama bronzer. So it's basically the size of like a sample shadow. It came with 0.57 grams or 0.02 ounces of product. Color's a little weird on me, but I do love the formula, but I won't repurchase it. For facial sprays, I finished up 4 full size, 2 were primer sprays and 2 were setting sprays. These are all from Peachy. I have the Peachy Glow Mist, little too greasy, would not repurchase. The Peachy Hydrating Milky Mist, which I think is nice and hydrating, but I still wouldn't repurchase. And then I used up 2 of the Peachy Makeup Fixing Mist. These are nice, but I have other setting sprays I prefer, so I would not repurchase those either. Moving on to brow products, I only finished 8, which doesn't feel like a lot for me, but I think it's because of the type of brow products that I'm using. I finished up 4 brow pencils, 3 micro style and 1 thicker. So the micro pencils are all the NYX Micro Brow, 2 in the shade Taupe and 1 in the shade Blonde. I will continue to repurchase the Taupe shade. Then I used up the Benefit Goof Proof Brow Pencil In the shade number 2, I do prefer the shade number 1, which this is their thicker angled brow pencil. I use these in combination, which helps all of my brow pencils last longer. I used to go through these so much quicker, so I am saving a lot of money by using this combination. I used up one brow powder that I have been trying to use for years. This is the MAC eyeshadow in Omega. It's a nice cool tone color. I will not repurchase because I prefer the Lorac Take a Brow Kit in the shade Blonde, which is more warm tone. I did use up a deluxe sample size of the Benefit Brow Pomade in the shade number 1. It's a really great color, great formula. I actually did already repurchase this. And I used up 2 brow gels, one clear and one tinted. I have the Anastasia Clear Brow Gel and the NYX Tinted Brow Mascara in the blonde shade. Both of these are holy grail and I will repurchase them both. For eyeshadow primer, I actually finished up 3, which is insane, but 2 of them are deluxe sample sizes of the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion, the original one. I do really enjoy this, but I don't think I'll repurchase it because it is quite pricey, and I think that the Milani eyeshadow primer works just as well, so this is the one that I will continue to repurchase. Moving on to eyeshadows. This is the most eyeshadow I've ever used up. I finished 6 ColourPop Super Shock shadows and 7 pressed powder shadows. I'm so happy about that. I hit pan on so many more. Like, hitting pan is a great accomplishment to me, but using eyeshadows up is like unbelievable for me. Starting with the ColourPop Super Shock shadows that I used up, it's going to be hard to tell the colors. I would recommend looking them up on Google Images. I actually have 3 different rose golds, so I wouldn't repurchase all 3 of them. This first one was Summer Lovin'. It was a tie-dye shade. Then I used up Lala, which was an ultra metallic finish, which is my favorite finish, along with the Pearlized finish, which was Weenie. So Weenie was a little bit more pink tone, Lala was a little bit more of the golden tone, and then Summer Lovin' had some white chunks in it. And I would definitely repurchase either Lala or Weenie. I'm not sure which one, or Amaze, which I used up last year, but used up 3 different rose golds that are only slightly different. Then I also used up Sequin, which is a rose gold mixed with a copper. It is a metallic finish. One of my favorite shadows of all time. I definitely will repurchase that, but I also have similar shades I want to work through first. Then I used up Get Lucky. The pan fell out. I used up Get Lucky, which was an ultra metallic gold. This is so stunning, but they did unfortunately discontinue the shade, or else I would repurchase it. It's one of the best golds I've ever tried. Then I used up the shade Just for Fun. This was unfortunately limited edition. It was metallic finish. Stunning, stunning color. If they ever re-release this, I would totally buy it again. For pressed powder shadows, I used up 7 from different palettes. Now, most of these are matte creams, but a couple of them are fun colors. The shade Tea Light, which was the matte cream in the Dose of Colors Baked Browns palette. Not my favorite formula, would not repurchase. I used up the matte cream Full Zip from a ColourPop Yes Please palette. Nice formula and it's inexpensive, but I would not repurchase. I used up the satin finish cream from the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette called Tempura. Not my favorite formula, would not repurchase. I used up the matte cream Foxy from the Urban Decay Naked 2 palette. I also would not repurchase. Basically, I wanted to go through my collection, try to use up as many matte creams as possible to set my eyeshadow primer, but the shade I will actually repurchase and continue to repurchase is Wet n Wild Brulee. It's only $1 and it's perfect. But I was able to use up 3 eyeshadows from the Anastasia Tamana palette. I used Fresh, which was a matte cream with a pinky undertone to set my primer. Wouldn't repurchase that. Then I used up Blush, which was a light champagne shade. I used it as a cheekbone highlight. It was pretty, but it showed a lot of texture and I didn't like it enough on its own as an eyeshadow, so I would not repurchase it. Then I used up the shade China Rose, which is just like NARS Orgasm. I used that one up as a blush. It was very pretty, but I have other things that are similar, so I also would not repurchase that. For eyeliner, I only used up 5. 3 were liquid liners and 2 are colorful pencil liners. I used up the Stila Stay All Day Waterproof Liquid Liner. This is the deluxe sample size. I do not love it because it is a felt tip, so would not repurchase. I used up the Clinique Pretty Easy Liquid Lining Pen. It's a nice brush tip liquid liner, great formula, but I would not repurchase it because of my next all-time favorite, which is the Physicians Formula Eye Booster, also a brush tip, and this is from a drugstore, so it's a lot more affordable, especially when you get it 40% off, so I will repurchase this one. Then we have my beloved ColourPop Cream Gel Liners, amazing for the waterline, the lower lash line, just not your upper lash line. I have the shade Prance, which is a periwinkle blue, and Zulu, which is a mint green. These were both just brought back recently, which is amazing, so I can repurchase both of them and have them in my life. Highly recommend these. For mascara, I used up 11. I had 3 full-size, 7 minis, and 1 lash primer. The lash primer is the Benefit They're Real tinted lash primer, so it is a basically like a brown mascara. I don't know if this really is like a primer or you have the effect of layering mascara. It's a nice first step or to comb out clumpy lashes, but it doesn't do enough for me that I would actually repurchase it. Then we have the Marc Jacobs Velvet Noir mascara. It's a really nice one. I have some other minis I'll use up, but it costs way too much, so I would not repurchase that. Then, oh, it's really dry. We have the IT Cosmetics Superhero Mascara. Don't quite get the hype. It's a little too dry for my preference, so I will not repurchase that. Then we have the Bobbi Brown Smoky Eye Mascara. Very basic, did nothing for me. Would not repurchase. I have the Urban Decay Perversion Mascara. I actually really love this one, and I do have several minis I will use up, and I did actually just recently win a full size in a giveaway, so I will repurchase that one. We'll see if the full size is as good as the minis. I've heard it's not, but we'll see what my opinion is. Then I have, ugh, yuck, I hate that kind of packaging. I don't know why it's not a twist up. This is the Tarte Tartiste Lash Paint Mascara. No, thank you, would not repurchase that. Then I have the Lancome Definisil's Mascara. A little too basic for me, would not repurchase. I have the Too Faced Better Than Sex Mascara. It used to be one of my favorites, but it's just a little too dry for me, but I love the brush, but wouldn't purchase this one. I have the Rimmel Lash Accelerator Mascara. This has been a holy grail of mine for years, and it's definitely still a favorite, so I would repurchase that one. Then I have the Jessie's Girl Dial-A-Lash Mascara, and you can like twist this dial so the brush can go around all different ways. I just leave it straight. This is actually a super awesome mascara, and I would definitely repurchase that one. And the last one is the CoverGirl Clump Crusher Mascara. Used to love this one. I don't know why. It didn't do a thing for me, and I would definitely not repurchase it. Moving on to lip products. For lip balms, I was able to use up 8 this year. The first is the EOS Smooth Sphere in the Vanilla Mint scent. Absolutely love Vanilla Mint and Sweet Mint. It's a holy grail formula and scent for me, so I will definitely repurchase that. Then I used up an Essential Oils lip balm that my mom made for me. I mean, I can't repurchase it because she made it, but it wasn't my favorite. I did also use up a doTERRA Spa lip balm with essential oils, and my mom used doTERRA oils to make this one. I actually really didn't enjoy it, so I would not repurchase that one either. Then we have 2 of my Holy Grail EOS Smooth Sticks in Sweet Mint. I'm surprised I don't have more of these. Absolute favorite, definitely will repurchase. I like to have these in my purse and these around the house. Then I used up the Jack Black The Stick Lip Balm in Fresh Mint. This is a little too thick for my liking. I would not repurchase it. I don't think they sell this on its own. It's only sold in a duo pack with the Jack Black Intense Therapy Lip Balm. They have several scents. My favorite is the Natural Mint. Took forever to use up. This is a really great product, and I do definitely plan on repurchasing it. And I also used up the Aquaphor Lip Repair, which is a very nice product, but I do have other intense lip balms that I prefer. This is a little too slippery, so I won't repurchase it. For colored lip products, I have 9, which is amazing for me. Now, quite a few of these are deluxe sizes, but still, I do not blow through lip products very quickly, so I'm feeling very proud about this. I finished 1 deluxe size lip liner. This is the Tarte Tartiste in the shade Latergram. Not a great formula. I definitely would not repurchase it. I used up 1 liquid lipstick. This is something I can't say I 100% used up. I did use up most of it, and the little bit that was left completely dried out on the sides, but I was able to get out every last bit of usable product. So I think I'm gonna count it. I don't know, it's up to you guys, whatever you think. But this is the Smashbox Always On Liquid Lipstick in the shade Driver's Seat. Beautiful shade. I really enjoy this formula, but dries out a little too quickly for me. I used up one jumbo lip crayon. This is the MAC Patent Polish Lip Pencil in the shade Go For Girly. I love this formula, but this shade is a little bit bright for me and my current taste, so I would not repurchase this color. I finished up 3 full-size bullet lipsticks, which is freaking amazing, especially because this first one is a purple. This is the MAC Sheets Cream Lipstick in Asian Flower. One of my all-time favorite formulas and colors, but unfortunately these were discontinued, so I cannot repurchase it. But if I could, trust, I would. Then I used up one of the Too Faced Le Creme lipsticks in the shade Country Star. This was a limited edition color, but I believe this whole line has been discontinued in general. I think you can still find them on the Too Faced website, but they're not sold in any stores. Not my favorite formula and not my favorite color, so I wouldn't repurchase it, but I really enjoyed using this in combination with my other lipstick, which was the NARS Audacious in the shade Raquel. Don't get the hype around this formula. It's a little basic for me, but it is a pretty color, but definitely would not repurchase that. Then I had 3 deluxe size lip glosses I finished. This is the Tarteist Glossy Lip Paint in the shade Obvi. Gorgeous warm nude. I love this formula and this color. I definitely will repurchase this. Then I used up 2 minis of the Buxom lip glosses, which actually have the same amount of product as one full size, which is exciting. I used up the shade Sophia, which was a light neutral mauve pink, and then we have the shade Dolly, which was a true mauve. Love these formulas. These colors are pretty, but I don't see myself repurchasing either of these shades. I do overall prefer the lip cream formula, but the lip polish formula is nice as well. And then I want to show you guys some random products. So I finished up 105 makeup items, but then I do have 2 polishes and 3 perfumes I wanted to share with you. So for polishes, I have a base coat and a top coat. My base coat is my holy grail. It is the Revlon Color Stay Gel Smooth Base Coat. This has been long discontinued, but I do have several backups thanks to my amazing friends Amber and Amanda, so I'll be set on that for a while. And I use as much polish thinner as possible, but it gets all the way down here, the brush doesn't reach all the way, and I'm doing this number, and that's too much for me. Then for my top coat, I use the Julie G Jet Set Quick Dry Top Coat, which was absolutely fantastic, and I would definitely consider repurchasing this one in the future. Then for my 3 perfumes, I have 1 rollerball and 2 full size. The rollerball is the Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Eau de Toilette. I do have the full size of this one. Amazing, everyday spring summer scent for me. Definitely, like I said, I already have a full size, but once I use up that one, we'll see if I love it enough to repurchase it. Then I have PacSun Lilu. This is a 1.7 ounce bottle. I love this. This used to be my signature scent in like college, but I have moved on from this scent. Still a good one. They discontinued it, then I found it at an outlet. I don't know if it's available or not anymore. And the last perfume I used up was a full size of Marc Jacobs Pear. This had 3.4 ounces. This is an Eau de Toilette. Marc Jacobs fragrances are so nice smelling, but they do not last on me at all, so I definitely would not repurchase this one. So guys, those are all of the makeup products that I used up in 2018. I would love to know what you guys used up this year and what your thoughts were on all of these products in the comments down below. I'm feeling super successful and I can't wait to see if I can match or beat this number next year. We'll see. Each year truly gets harder and harder to find items to pan and actually use up completely, so we'll see what happens. But thank you all so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye guys.